Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo. Then we can be assured that other nations will not treat America with respect, the respect that we deserve.
What is up, people? The internet, it is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video. And based on the title, we are talking about a state for the very first time. That is very rare on this channel, especially after 2 to 3 years of constant content. But for the first time ever, and I know the 5 people from Washington in the chat are going to be excited for this, I am finally talking about Washington. I know, Washington. One of the more Democrat states in the country. Why am I talking about this? Well, there's a Senate race there in 2022, and put it simply, there may be something brewing in this state. Now, before I forget, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit the little bell, and yes. Reminder, we have a subscriber goal. Before May 1st, if we reach 10,000 subscribers, I will release a merch store on May 1st. And what happened yesterday was absurd. I think we gained like 40, 50 subs in like a day. Let's just replicate that again. Again, go get your friends to subscribe, get your family members, get non-cringe people, get base people to subscribe. Make sure they hit that little bell, and yeah. So, Washington. This may make people question my sanity. They may think, I'm nuts, that I'm on drugs, that I'm snorting something, or whatever. Well, I have to say one thing. This race is going to be surprisingly close. And again, I'm not going to say that Republicans are going to win this race. No, I'm not saying that. However, there's been some interesting developments in this race that could make it, one of the more closer races of the night, and nobody expected it. And again, I'm not going to go around here saying Murray's going to lose. That's the longtime incumbent senator of the state of Washington. I am, however, saying that she isn't, underperforming vastly as of now. That's all I will say. And Murray is one of those candidates, she should win by at least 15, 16 points. That is at least the minimum, especially in Washington. Again, I know it's a red wave year and all, but still, you go down here to the polling. And again, polling isn't everything. We all know this from 2020, even 2021 to an extent in New Jersey. But the point is this. PPP, one of the worst pollsters in the country that always overvalues the Democrats' margins. I mean, I think they had friggin' Ohio Democrat by a couple points. They had Iowa toss-up. They suck. They suck at polling. Imagine this, all right? If it says Democrats are winning by like a point, that means Republicans are winning by like 5 or 6 at least. And you look at this. They've released 3 polls. Notice a trend. In May of 2021, Murray was winning by 16. Roughly expected, especially with a red wave year. That's about what you would expect. November of last year, she was winning by 13. Now, Murray's only up by 9. 9. You heard that right, folks. A state that she won by I think it was 18 points in 2016. She's only up by 9, according to PPP. A very Democrat pollster that, of course, oversamples Democrats. So what's actually going on in this race? And who even is Tiffany Smiley? Well, put it simply, Tiffany Smiley may be the best Republican that the Republicans in Washington have ran in years for a statewide race. And I'm not going around here saying that she's like a Giga Chad candidate from Paul Gosar levels. But still, you look at her platform. It's not cringe. It is actually good. It's not as based as a Paul Gosar type, but considering this is Washington, it's actually good. Now, again, we always have tax reform as, Republican platform. In most circumstances, again, I think this is bullshit. Why do we have to talk about taxes? Well, this is actually a good time to talk about, taxes, spending, especially in a state like Washington. They've got hammered with taxes lately, and plus the recent regulations put on most businesses. Yeah, this is something to actually run on in a state like Washington, but also She's touting, good trade policies like the USMCA, fair trade deals. Also, talking about Washington's agriculture, which is a huge industry in Washington. Like, of course, you got lumber, you got fishing, all that stuff, but agriculture's up there. Also, there's tech stuff and all that stuff. Now, of course, there's one part of her platform that does seem a bit iffy. You look here, and this will take education policies that give workers blah, 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 the training they need, and immigration reform that secures our border and strengthens Washington's economy. Now, this is the one part that makes me say that she's not like a base candidate like Paul Gosar. I mean, what does she mean by this? Does she mean like more visas or something like that? If that's the case, that's very cringe. But that's one bad thing. It's Washington. What do you expect? But even so, the rest of her platform is good. Defending Washington heroes. Election integrity. Yes, she actually supports election integrity, but not in the weird, freaking pillow man, Dominion has overseas softwares and they're getting hacked by the Bolsheviks. Like, stop it. This is actual good ideas. For example, have Election Day as a national holiday, which, I may disagree with, but, it's something. It is Washington, so they probably would agree to it. Also, voter ID, which, again, even in Washington, that's very popular. Modernize local voting systems. Again, this is good stuff, especially for Washington. I mean, for Washington, this is about as Republican or conservative as you can get. And plus, you also stuff got, like, improving Washington quality of life. Running on the fact that, her husband, was blinded by a suicide bomber in Iraq. Again, that's a very sad thing. But I like the fact that she's running on, like, hey, I know what it feels like for our heroes to be ignored when they get, like, blinded, they get severe injuries. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to fight for them. This is good stuff. This is bipartisan support right here. Now, the question is this. Can she actually win? Well, this is my issue. I don't think she can win right now. If this trend keeps up, there's a good chance she may. And you look at the endorsements, this does tell me that there may be something more here than just, she may have a chance instead of, like, she has no chance. Murray, of course, has her endorsements from, like, the Jewish Dems, which is, like, 1% of Washington. Like, seriously, these endorsements, like, don't help her at all. I mean, seriously, all these outside the Sierra Club, that's, like, the environmental club, I think. But outside of that, like, none of these really help her. I mean, yeah, the environment's big in Washington, but the rest of these, like, Jewish Dems, Emily's List, like, no one really cares for most of this stuff. However, for Smiley, she of course has have some interesting endorsements, Tom Cotton, Ernst, Rick Scott, etc. Some former representatives, the Washington State Republican Party, but also one certain NBA player, John Stockton. Now, I had to, make sure this was the real one, the actual John Stockton. And it is. And if you don't know who John Stockton is, he is one of the best point guards in the history of the NBA. You heard that right. One of the best high school point guards in the history of the NBA, who's from Washington, by the way, I think still lives there. He endorsed a Republican candidate. Now again, endorsements don't mean everything. We learned this from, Madison Cawthorn winning. However, when Smiley's getting some significant weight power as a name like Stockton in Washington, now if this was Utah, she would win by like 80 points, but again, this is Washington, so it won't have that big of an effect as it should. But still, having the Stockton endorsement, especially say like Washington, an NBA player who's a Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do his position, then yeah, that could actually have some serious weight to it. I mean, sport endorsements do, either help Big League or they do squat. If it does help Big League, well, that may explain this recent trend of, Smiley picking up steam. Now, there is one more thing I wanted to look at. I mean, this is one last portion I wanted to look at. It was, inside the poll of, like, Smiley is down by only 9. And many people are going to say, oh, it was just because, they oversampled GOP voters. Look at this. Just look at the gender breakdown and the age breakdown. 3% was non-binary in this poll. 11% was ages 18 to 29. 26% was 30 to 45. Okay, that may not seem awful. But you go here. Look at this. Right here. Men are 48% of the population in Washington. 51% is women. They vastly undersampled men, undersampled older voters, and also undersampled white voters. So it's like, okay, this pollster is not some like GOP-leaning pollster. No, this is clearly, oversampling Democrat voters. And again, I'm not saying, it's going to be like 100% spot on that Smiley will win or anything like that. But I am saying that when a pollster that is oversampling Democrat voters, that is also notorious for oversampling, or overexaggerating Democrat margins, the fact that they have it by a 9-point victory for Murray, that's not a good sign for her. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like down below, subscribe, share it with your friends, hit the little bell, and yes. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.